Hello. Welcome back to the allotment. It's now towards the end of October, and I'm preparing the plot for next year, whilst looking after it for this year too. Lots going on. Wanted to also show you through the video that when I've been doing my other videos, it usually looks quite tidy. It doesn't always look quite so tidy, and even when it's tidy for me, it's not very tidy. But this is what it's looking like at the moment. So there's all sorts of stuff going on. I'll show you first of all what's growing at the moment, because there are things still growing, but everything else has been cleared to clear the beds and to start preparing for next year. So we've got some celery down here, which I've put loo rolls in the middle of kitchen towel things around the middle to try and get them to blanch the stems, which means for the stems to go white, and the sort of celery that people are used to seeing. So we've got that. I've got some lovely chard and spinach and beetroot. So all of these, the chard and the spinach especially, will keep on being harvested over the winter. Makes a really nice risotto. Charred feta cheese, don't tell any Italians. Charred feta cheese and peas and lemon juice, really nice, really nice risotto. So they're still growing, and the beetroot's in there. Got some carrots over there. I'll grab a few of those today, so you can see there's some carrots in here. They can pretty much stay in the ground over the winter, and we just grab them as they're needed. Then over here there's not too much else. Well, a few things, yeah. So we've got over here, we've got some leeks, so those will be harvested again as we need them over the winter. I've got the final bits of my cabbages, so I've got three red cabbages which are looking characterful, I think is the word for them. And then over here we have some more spinach, perpetual spinach, which again we'll keep harvesting over the winter. So that's what's growing in terms of produce. I'm clearing stuff out, so you can see from the greenhouse completely empty. It's a bit after the Lord's Mayor show. It's empty completely. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean the glass, because you can, if I can show you in here, you can see after a summer of fun in here, you may be able to see that the windows go, the glass goes quite filthy, and it can have all sorts. It can have all sorts of things. Have fungi, bacterial type stuff, dirty things on there, which you don't really want to get your plants exposed to, and they can build up over the year. So at some point I will take on the task of cleaning that. There's some pesky little critters in here. Look at these snails there. Don't you see them? They're hiding for the winter, these little tiny ones. So I'll try and persuade them to go outside when I'm cleaning, and I will actually put them outside, because I don't like to, even snails, I don't really like to do bad things to snails, but I'm a big softy like that. So then you'll also see I've had a delivery of manure. I mean, it's a really lovely manure as well, so I'm going to show you what it looks like. So this is the texture of it. Look at this, look at that. I mean, it looks like soil, doesn't it? There's all sorts of lovely, it's dark, it's rich, and I've put it all over all the beds. We've got like a duvet of manure over all the beds, and that will just sit there, so it'll protect. Oh look, I've got some fungi growing from my manure. Look at that, there's some fungi. I don't know what they are. They look a bit like, I don't know, wax caps maybe. Surely not. Well, I've got those growing anyway. So I leave a duvet of manure, which, so that when it rains, it protects the soil from leaching and of nutrients and erosion. So it sort of protects the soil from that. It creates a lovely habitat for all the worms, beetles, all sorts of stuff to live in. So it enhances the structure of the soil and the life of the soil. The worms will actually take down a lot of the manure from the top. They'll come and feed on it and take it down and convert it into wormy doos, which is good for the soil. So that's going to sit there. So it makes me calm in my soul when I know that I've got manure on the soil over the winter, so I don't worry when it's raining hard, because I know it'll actually, the soil is protected, so that makes me sleep better over the winter, of course. I've also sort of a few things going on at the moment. So I've got 3 rows of broad beans. I've run out, so so I've got 2 rows sown there. I've sown those. That one was ready, but I ran out of beans, so I'll get some more. So if we sow them now, they'll start growing a little bit, only a tiny bit, and then they'll wait over the winter, and then they'll be ready to explode into beanie action in the spring, and hopefully we'll have broad beans in May. That would be really nice. I've chopped down all of my raspberries, so we had loads of raspberries this year, and they because I've got autumn raspberries, they're quite easy to look after. Oh, as is tradition, there's a sort of like a sunlit view of an empty train in virus times. I can actually see, I think there might have been 5 people on that one anyway, but anyway, it wouldn't be right to not have a allotment video this year in virus year without showing an empty train. So yes, so autumn fruiting raspberries are quite easy to look after, because you just chop them back any time from now till sort of December, January time, and then they'll send up new canes next year which will fruit. The summer ones are slightly more complicated, but my autumn variety, that's all I need to do. So, and again, I've put a big duvet of manure over there, so that'll add lots of nutrients back, because you know, every year they just throw up growth and they crop, and I take raspberries and I chop them down again, so it's only fair that I should give them a bit of a feed and to add some nutrients back to help them. I'm going to show you the pond, because the pond is looking beautiful. Look at that. So this has only been here for 2 years now, I think, and it's looking really, really healthy. It's had lots of rain recently, so the water level's high. There's a log over here that we saw dragonflies laying eggs in, ovipositing, so laying eggs in earlier. So this will be full of dragonfly and damselfly larvae, because I've seen so many laying eggs. I can still see spiders. Most of the beetles and the pond skaters have gone now. They're not here anymore, so it's quite quiet from that, but the plants are still growing. So that's full of life. That is lovely. I've got some of the sort of the relics from the year. So we've got the teasels, which are looking like that now, so I'm going to leave those for the goldfinches and the birds, so the seeds will be coming out in those seed heads, so the birds can have that. There's a funny little plane going over. Here's the verbascum, which again are full of seeds, so I'm going to let them just sprinkle their seeds, and then what I do, I'm trying a slightly different method for next year. I'm already thinking, because most of everything is thinking about next year, which is one of the joys of allotments actually. So I'm actually going to, all the seedlings I'm going to move away from in amongst the plot to this bank. So you can see I've already put some verbascums there, which had seeded from the previous year or from earlier this year and are ready for next year. Aren't they beautiful? Look at that, absolutely lovely. So I'm going to keep on putting all those onto this bank and make it a bank for wildlife. It was all nettles, it is still nettles, so I'm going to try and manage the nettles a bit so that it's not only nettles, but there's also going to be teasels and all sorts of other things there. I've still got, and there's some forget-me-nots. Look at those. They're very, very kind forget-me-nots, because they've actually seeded themselves into a tray, so I can plant them out easily. There's a couple of lettuces in there, so spot the odd one out. So the odd 2 out. There's 2 lettuces in there as well. There's a lovely clump of foxgloves, digitalis, which I was thinking of moving, but they look so happy there, and they're quite tidily arranged around the outside of the plot, so I think I'll just leave those. The rocket's flowering, so you can see those yellow flowers on the rocket, so they'll appear in different places, and I'll try and organise those and move those a bit as well. So lots of little things going on, and lots of thinking about next year as well. So I'm going to wander along here a little bit to see what else I can show you. So the big project for the winter, which I started and then I've done quite well in actually. So this bit here was all nettles this year, and I've already got lots of nettles, and I do want to keep nettles for wildlife, really good for wildlife, and caterpillars potentially as well. So down that end I'm going to leave lots of nettles and brambles there, But this end I wanted to try and experiment. One, to see if I could control the nettles. That's the first thing. And two, then to see if I can get that full of flowers for pollinators. So lots and lots of flowers, mainly wildflowers, but things that pollinators love. So I've managed to clear, I think, the vast majority of nettle roots. And if nettles have been in a place for a long time, let me tell you, their roots take some shifting. So I've probably left loads, but what I'm doing is to try and keep them under control. I'm putting, like Blue Peter here is exhibit A. So this is some cardboard. So from here onwards, underneath all that, I've got a layer of cardboard and then compost or clippings or chippings on top of it. So that's all over there. And then what I'm going to do from here onwards, I'm going to do the same. I just need to buy more wine to get cardboard boxes. That's the whole reason for buying wine, of course. So I'm going to do that and then cover chippings and then and then hopefully this will all be kept under some sort of control. You can see I've cut the hedge, and I've put all the hedge cuttings along there to try and create habitats for ideally hedgehogs, but for anything that needs shelter over the winter. So that's all quite a nice little habitat there. It's lots and lots of chippings, so things can be able to shelter in there. I'm hoping for all sorts of things. We'll be having a nice warm winter in there. So yeah, so that's the big project. So and as you can see, it's a bit of a mess. I'm clearing out all sorts of stuff that I found in there, and there's all sorts of rubbish. But in a few weeks, everything will be under control. And here's the final thing probably to show you is the compost heap. So I'm trying to clear out all the good stuff from the bottom, which is there, and I'm going to use that to cover the cardboard. That's the plan. And then when that's all gone, I'm going to then, I've got this here, the queue of material to put back in for the next compost. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear that out, then I'm going to chop all this up as fine as I can, mix it all up, because if you have a mixture of different types of materials, so there'll be stems, there'll be leaves, there'll be fruit, there'll be dried stuff, there'll be all sorts of different things. If you mix it all up and chop it up as fine as you can, then that will encourage the composting process to happen as quickly as possible. You need, there's a sort of two types of, well, there's lots of types of composting, but there's either composting through heat or basically rotting, or something in between, which involves worms, is my summary of composting. So if you want the heat version, you need to have lots of material. You need to have at least a meter cubed of material, all finely chopped, all mixed up together. If you get that, if you've got lots of material, then that will generate heat, which will kill, hopefully if it gets very hot, it will kill seeds, weed seeds, it will kill all sorts of bad things. So that's your ideal quick composting, but that's difficult to do for most people, because most people don't have, myself included, don't have a meter cube of material at the same time to put together. So I'll be piling all this fine up there, and I'll get sort of, it might get a little bit warm, but not very hot. So the warmth is just from the bacterial processes. I think the bacteria is breaking stuff down. That's why it creates the heat, which is the same as you get when you get a big pile of manure. If you leave a big pile of manure, if you go past a stable, you'll see the heat coming off it, because they've got loads of material and it's all rotting and creating heat. So I'll be doing it smaller bits, and I'll probably have worms will be in there. The tiger worms will come and start to eat stuff, and it will sort of break down much more slowly, but it will still get to a good end result. So that's why this is all sitting here at the moment. It's in preparation to go into here, which isn't even a meter cubed in the first place, so it's never going to get very hot. So yeah, that's really what's going on the plot at the moment. There is another train. It could be the last one that I'll video from the allotment this year. You never know. So there it is. It would seem rude not to, when it's gone to all that trouble to expose itself. So yes, so there's the allotment now. So it's a time of working out next year. I mean, the big things I've decided for next year are, one is I've got a different way of supporting raspberries. That's big. That makes things much easier. So I've got 2 rows of wooden poles, so the raspberries will grow in between that, as opposed to having one row, and trying to tie the raspberries to it. So that's big news on my plot. The other big news is that I'm not going to grow any onions or garlic next year, because I've had white rot, and it's the benefits of doing it. You know, you don't get that much, and a lot of it is hard work and starts to rot. So I'm not going to grow them. I'm going to grow strawberries instead. So I've decided that. So I'm working out which strawberries to get. So, but apart from that, That's about it, and one of my neighbours on the allotment has just arrived, so I will stop talking because he might want to talk to me about meaning of life, philosophy, who's going to win the Premier League, or even about where I got my manure from. One of those probably. So yeah, there you go, there's an update for today, and I'll maybe do another one in a few weeks when things are looking tidy. All right then, bye bye.